of the sea. My one chance at life was a ceaseless endeavor to sweep off the waves as they swept over me. Oh, life is a toil, and love is trouble. Beauty will fade and the riches will flee. Pleasures they dwindle, the prices they double. Nothing is as nothing should be.
Larry Groce here, Mountain Stage. MountainStage.org is where you can hear the show that these folks are on. The album is called, I guess a group too, really, Among the Oak and Ash. And really it's two people though, Garrison Starr and Josh Joplin, who both of whom have been on Mountain Stage before as singer-songwriters, doing their own material. But they've gotten together. Here's the CD right here. It's quite a nice cover. And they've chosen the material that is, well, most of it is traditional American music. And they don't do it in a folky way. They do it acoustically by and large, but it's in a very contemporary feel to it. And I don't even know what that means exactly, except for I know that it isn't.
That's what I always say.
Yeah, it is.
I'm making folk tunes in contemporary style.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, tell us how it came about, though, because this is not something that you guys didn't sing together before this, or did you?
No, we played shows, but that we didn't sing together exactly.
Well, give us the rundown of how the album itself came about then.
Well, I was always interested in doing a record of these old tunes that I grew up listening to and playing and loving, and I saw Garrison. It was sort of like love at first sight, and I said, well, I got to do these tunes with her, and I called Garrison up, and she, I think we thought we were going to do a rock band, which I kind of thought we were too, but I wanted to make sure it was like the folk tunes, and so I'm not sure her enthusiasm.
When he called you, what did you think?
I think I ruined it for him. He called me and was like, had this great idea, and I was like, dude, that sounds terrible. I'm not doing that. Because I didn't grow up, I didn't grow up like with a love for this music. Like, I mean, I do, because now that, because of Josh and because of him playing me these songs, I'm like, oh, I know that song, I know this song. But when he called me, I thought, oh, Josh Joplin wants to start a rock band. It's gonna be like, we're gonna start this, rock band. And like, he's like, well, I was just thinking, like, I have this real love for these Appalachian folk tunes. And I was like,
what?
I was like, please. But then, he came down to Nashville, and it really was love at first sight. I mean, he, is such a wonderful. He's one of the best people I've ever met in my whole life, and I just have learned so much from Josh. And so when we hung out, I was just like, well, I have to do this because whatever he's doing, like, I got to do because I just love him so much.
You were humoring him, in other words.
And I'll shout and I'll dance and I'll rise up early in the morning. I will rise above my sleepy eyes. Who Gabriel come flowing on his horn. Oh, my soul, I'm bound for to rest. No rest just as sure as I am born.
Like, I grew up listening, like, my favorite band of all time is the Bangles, I have to say, and I loved Heart, and, I grew up listening to, ooh.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I grew up, like, listening to, Bonnie Raitt, Heart, Indigo Girls, and Sean Colvin. I mean, like, a lot of singer-songwriters, the Beatles, too, and the Stones, so I grew up, like, with a weird, like, smorgasbord of, like, but it was mostly, and I grew up in the 80s.
Mostly pop and rock.
Yeah, I grew up in the 80s, and I love 80s music, I'll tell you right now. Tears for Fears, Songs from the Big Chair, one of my favorite records of all time. The Church, Starfish, one of my favorite records of all time. So, like, I love 80s pop music. I mean, that's what I grew up with, really.
So here's a surreal trivia fact. One time I was on a UK television show for kids with Tears for Fears. I was the other act.
Oh my God.
Playing like Disney songs for children. It was it's cool. I like things like that. It was so
Yeah,
surreal,
yeah,
so bizarre.
Yeah.
There they were, super pop heroes,
Right.
and I was unknown, but I recorded for Disney. Anyway,
That's
so,
great.
So you though, I mean, obviously you grew up on listening to other things besides this, but this
Yeah,
was one
I
of the
did.
influences that you
Yeah,
had.
well, I grew up listening to. I liked punk a lot, and I grew up listening to the Smiths and things like that. And then I had a love of Bob Dylan, and so I discovered folk music through him originally, and Woody Guthrie, and all of those things. And then it wasn't until I met Carrie Norris, who is the granddaughter of Lily Mae Ledford, who was one of the original Coon Creek Girls,
Right.
that I really found a love for Appalachian music and for old time music, old traditional music, and that I wanted to play.
And if I had a banjo string made of golden twine, well, every tune that I would play, I'd wish that girl was mine. Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, I know. Shady Grove, my little love, I'm bound for the Shady Grove. And if I had a watch of gold on a silver chain, I'd count the hours till the day I'd see my love again. Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, I know. Shady Grove, my little love, I'm bound for Shady Grove.
For me, I didn't realize how important it was until Josh introduced me to some of these songs that I didn't know that I knew. Like,
Right.
for instance, The Water Is Wide. Like, I had a recording of forever ago that Carla Bonoff probably did in the 70s.
Exactly.
And I had that on cassette that my aunt like used to make me these mixtapes from albums, and that was on one of the tapes. And so I grew up listening to that song.
It's a great song.
And that's why I wanted to record it, because I was like, wait, is The Water Is Wide a folk song? Can we do that? And he's like, yeah, like that's...
Yeah, that's right. That's
so,
right in. That's right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And you know, that's the great thing is there's a reason why these songs have lasted for
Absolutely.
150 years.
Well,
it isn't because they're no good.
Right.
No, it's because they
that's
are
absolutely
amazing.
right. And they have these kind of just the story of the human condition in every song and in every player kind of, to me, gets across that sense of timelessness. I don't know, the songs themselves and the voices. I'm obviously enamored of it and love it. But I also think too that people are rediscovering it because there's something about having a real experience of just sitting around and playing with people, and almost like you might see kids, and it is kids that I'm seeing playing old time music right now, who are able to play banjo, and it's almost like you're watching them, and they could just as easily be playing Wii or you know, but they're sitting around and playing banjo and guitar,
which is pretty wonderful.
It's so wonderful. So I think there's something in the air that seems to be an emergence of this.
I think that's a good
music.
thing, because there is a certain I don't know what it is. I mean, again, I don't want to be condescending, but it's a real thing. It's something that's lasted, and not something that someone thought up to make money last year.
Right.
Right.
You know?
Right. Exactly.
And it's and therefore it's kind of nice to see somebody to hook into it, because when you hook into it, you do get some of that.
Yeah.
The feeling comes with it.
What would your mother say if I told her you could stay? What would your mother say? Becky up. For this gilded day, Peggy up. For this gilded town, little patio. And for this gilded town, our captain died below.
Thanks so much,
Thank you very
everybody.
much, everyone. Have a great night. Have a lot of fun.